Right, good morning everyone. We're doing land today, professional practice, and if you look at the notes, there are quite some cases that I give you today. Now don't worry, it seems quite a lot, isn't it? Okay, don't worry about it. I'll guide you how to do it. Now before we start, I wanted to talk a little bit about indivisibility because some of you asked me one question over the weekends, and it was because of the podcast that I made. Alright, now maybe I do apologize, maybe I didn't explain myself clear enough during the podcast because I draft the podcast script before I record the podcast. Sometimes the podcast script was written in that way, and then when you start talking, okay, and you kind of mix a little bit in there. I wanted to explain a little bit about that. So it was with regard to the podcast, and one part of the podcast I make is this. Now, this was the question posted by the student to me. He said, I have a question on the podcast land number 20, all right, which he wrote it down to me and said, Alex owned a piece of land. So Alex is the owner, all right. Someone forged his signature and transferred it to Ben. So is Ben a fraudster or not a fraudster? Ben then sells to Charlie. Charlie bought in good faith. Okay? And based on Kamaro Zaman case, why is Ben not bona fide and why is Ben a fraudster? Would a fraudster be someone else? Isn't Ben the immediate purchaser as he has no idea the documents were forged? Now, you're right, okay? The student that texted me this question, Mr. Gobi, okay, you're right, okay? Whatever you said. So I wanted to read to you that particular part of the podcast that I've actually mentioned about this. Like I said, I may not, when I drafted the script, sometimes it's a bit different from how I say it, and I'll explain to you here. Now, if you listen to the podcast, there's one part where I make an illustration, and this is what I say in there. I say, okay, where is it? I say, Ali owns land. Someone forged his signature and transferred it to Ben. Ben then sells to Charlie. So if we follow the Torrance view or single bona fide, so-called, actually they don't call it single bona fide. I was the one that called it single bona fide. Tan Ing Hong, CIMB majority. Charlie bought in good faith and paid value. So he's protected under section 340 sub 3. What about if it's under double bona fide, the kind of Kamaro Zaman, Setia Kon, minority argument in CIMB? So I said in the podcast, I say Ben wasn't a bona fide purchaser as there was no valid title passed to him. Charlie cannot rely because protection only flows if both immediate and subsequent proprietors were bona fide. Now, maybe I didn't make myself clear. So I do apologize. So now follow what I've said here so you can understand. So I draw it out to you. Let's go back to our drawing board. Okay. Alex owned a piece of land. Okay? So now the issue was here. If we follow Tan Ing Hong, the main majority, most of the cases like CIMB, most of the case, A is owner, B, it's immediate purchaser. They only see where did the title move, and see its subsequent. Sorry. And C will get what? C gets deferred indivisibility until the point where he proved he can be a C will get deferred indivisibility. Okay? If he proved that he is a bona fide purchaser, value of money, section 340 sub 3. Correct? Okay, this is a Tan Ning Hong argument. If we follow the Kamaru Zaman double bona fide I cannot touch that screen. Okay, A is the owner. Sorry, let me make sure it's nice. B, who is B? B, okay, if on the issue of this, the fraudster forged the signature, transferred the title straight from A to B. It didn't stop at fraudster, meaning the title didn't change to the fraudster name. The title straight changed from A to B. Fraudster just in the middle, kind of middleman. So if we follow double bona fide, B here, it's also immediate purchaser. Okay? And then C is subsequent. Whether B will be a fraudster or not, it would depend on the fact. It would depend on the fact. I'm not saying depends on the fact I examine, but depends on the fact of the scenario. Because if B, let's say, pakat together with the fraudster to work this thing out, okay, then it may be an argument that B probably it's a fraudster. If B is a fraudster, then C will be immediate. So if, let's say, B is not fraudster, the fraudster is F. F transferred to B. B really don't know anything about it. Okay, even if we follow Kamaru Zaman, B, it's a immediate purchaser. Okay, immediate purchaser. So the other thing is this. Let's say now like this. This one, let's say, now, fraudster did change the title, okay, fraud the title from A to B, one step. Then here, second step, here, third step. So let's say fraudster is someone that knows law, he's a lawyer. So in order for him to kind of skip this kind of protection, he come up with this idea. So similar like your Setiakon and Mak Yentai case. Limoy transferred to Setiakon, is it? And then transferred to Paragon, or transferred to Paragon and transferred to Setiakon. If we follow Tan Ning Hong arguments, A is owner. F, it's immediate. B is subsequent. And C is also subsequent. Sorry of my ugly handwriting. I actually got very nice handwriting one. It's just that I cannot touch this one. Okay, the iPads. So B and C, B get deferred indivisibility. Okay, if he can show, okay, deferred means delay indivisibility. If You can show it, okay, bona fide, purchaser of value. Okay, understand that one. If we follow Kamaro Zaman's double bona fide, it depends on the fact. The fact will say A is owner, F is fraudster. Because he is the one that fraud it. Then he sell to B. B is immediate. C is subsequent. Then C will only get. Okay? Because if you can show B is also immediate bona fide, then C is subsequent bona fide. So the idea of that Kamaro Zaman is to look at the definition of purchaser under section 5, that it must be bona fide under your national land code. And also, the idea of Kamaro Zaman is to prevent that kind of like Setia Kon Mak Yen Tai, where they come up with this kind of scheme to cheat and to go one more step to cheat something off A. Because if we follow Tan Ning Hong, and let's say F is the one that really come up with this scheme of things, okay, then A would not be able to get anything else. So, I mean, both are double bona fide and also the Tan Ning Hong, they have their own argument. They have their own good points, okay? Both are acceptable. So, whether to use Tan Ning Hong, whether to use Kamaro Zaman, you look at the facts. Now, when I said I'm not just stating in terms of exam question, but whatever happened in that case. Because imagine the Setia Kon Mak Yen Tai case come to you. You are the lawyer. And if we don't use that kind of argument here, then the owner get nothing. Okay? So sorry if I didn't make myself clear enough in the podcast. Sometimes also maybe my draft is a little bit incorrect, and also like I said, when I draft it that way, sometimes when I speak, right, and then I kind of so relax, and then I put in a little bit extra what I've explained, that may be a little bit different. Okay, so please do understand. So I just want to clear your doubt here. Okay, I understand. Okay, now let's start. Now what we'll do, it's this week, today PP, tomorrow criminal, evidence, and civil. Now I'm not sure yet. Okay, tomorrow criminal we still read statute. Wednesday evidence we still read statutes. Thursday we will do civil. We'll finish off the pre-trial submission, no case to answer a little bit. Then after that we start with not pre-trial, sorry, trial. We started trial, right? Trial, submission of no case to answer. Then after that, we will do judgment and costs on what do you call it? Thursday. Okay, Thursday. So then next week we will do one class on enforcement of judgment. Then 2 more class with appeal and judicial review. Then we're done. Okay, we're done with civil. Next week also, I just want to give you a heads up. I'm still thinking. Next week, when we do criminal, should I do court jurisdiction together with arrest? Now, when you do evidence and criminal, sometimes certain particular topic chapter are asked, we don't even need 3 hours. Maybe 1.5 or even 2 hours. So I don't know. I was thinking just this morning, should I combine arrest? Then maybe is it too much and try to squeeze everything there? Or should I start a little bit arrest and continue? I don't like to start the chapter halfway, particularly in criminal and this kind of evidence, and then continue. I want to do one shot. So maybe, let's say, I will see how it goes. Maybe next week when we do the criminal, court jurisdiction is just a very small chapter. Maybe 1.5 hours we can finish the lecture. So maybe we'll finish early because it's still the beginning of the subject. I wanted to start slow, and maybe I don't want to combine arrest. We'll see how. I'll think about it over the weekend. Now, let's come back. Let's come back to what we do today. Here. Okay. All right. Now you got quite some cases there, isn't it? Okay. This is the whole chapter on dealings and the notes. I give it to you. Okay. Now, don't worry. Seems overwhelming. Don't worry. I'll explain to you. Okay, I'll explain to you what you can do. Why is it all in red color? Okay. How come so many cases? Don't worry. Now, you also see the notes are very different. I don't have any notes. Basically, it's just a storytelling. I think you all know we started that way with indivisibility, and also we started that way like disposal, state lands, English equitable principles. I think I said to you first class that I kind of have very different ideology and philosophy when it comes to teaching. And this is one of it. Students, to me, this is my idea. Okay, then you can listen to it and I'll tell you what you can do. Students that don't do well in land, okay, because they kind of lack that understanding about how land works. And I only finished making this note yesterday night. Sometimes students, I said this to you, come and ask me, Dennis, can you I just got a message recently, few days ago, someone from certain that didn't pass, okay, in certain exam asked, can she buy my notes because she wanted to prepare for the exam. I say, I don't have the whole set ready to sell you. The notes are freshly made one, you know. I look at how and your any questions I get from you and I'll adjust accordingly. So I don't have a whole sets ready to say, nah, give it to you. And even if you look back at some of my YouTube channels and the notes that I gave my student previously, and these are totally very different, totally different sets, different how I arrange it. So, and I also said to the student that even if, let's say, I do have the whole set of notes and I really sell it to you, and I said, it would just be a waste of money to you, I said to that person, because even if you spend money to buy it, you wouldn't be able to understand that notes. Why? Because when I make that notes, this set of notes must couple together with the lecture and how I explain it, only then you will understand. Just by reading the notes itself wouldn't make sense. Okay, so that's why sometimes I want you to read cases, because over relying on certain particular notes, short summary, things like that, that is where your understanding start there, and always your passing rate is P. That kind of, oh my God, cross finger hope, that kind. I don't want to have that cross finger hope. I want you to pass confidently. If you look at how university, college, or I'm not saying Malaysia, anywhere in the world, or a particular law, if we talk about land, okay, everyone got this study manual, all right? I mean textbook or whatever textbook you got. It's the same arrangement, whichever textbook you buy. So for the one that we are looking today, for this one, okay, you are looking at chapter chapter 7 and chapter 12, okay? Chapter 7 and chapter 12. I want you to read chapter 7 and chapter 12 of this textbook. So if you look at chapter 12, okay, let's just look at chapter 12 to give you a little bit idea. Okay, chapter 12, that is page 367. Introduction, security transaction, mortgage, not recognized under National Land Code, difference between National Land Codes and a mortgage, okay? And then deed of assignment, charge, effect of registered position. I could have arranged that notes in that particular way. But if I arrange that notes in a particular way, it is going to be the same with any textbook out there. You may as well just buy the textbook and read it, because they will write better than me. Okay? And the issue with this kind of teaching style, to me, this is my ideology, is it works up to a certain extent. It works up to the point, if you have too many things to remember, you cannot cope. It's like the computer RAM. You know the RAM computer, every computer has a RAM. That RAM will run up unto an extent. If you overload it more things, that you will start to fail. So if you today only have 2 subjects, okay, few chapters, this kind of way works. But then with CLP so many, it will not, because remember last week when we do evidence, and I show it to you, when you read the question, the first thing you would think about, out of the evidence, 15 chapter, which one? Is it hearsay? No. Is it opinion? You kind of think that particular way. So if I arrange in this particular way to you, it will be the same. You will still think in that particular, I want to change how you look at things. So what I do here is this. Instead of arranging it, I do an illustration and storytelling. So after the class today, you will exactly understand, have a big picture overview of all the the subtopic issue in under dealings. You understand what is it about, and I'll explain to you. Okay? After that, what you can do, after the class this week, you read this textbook on your own. And you will understand that there is nothing. Whatever I explained today, it's the same like your textbook. Then you will have the big picture overview, idea of the whole thing. Then, after that, okay, you have cases. We will see if we can start some cases today. Next week, we have PP class. I will use the class next week to half session of the class, maybe 1 to 1.5 to 2 hours, to explain some of those important cases in here for you. And I'll tell you which one is really, really the important one. After that, next week, the class, half of the class, I'll start with the restraint on dealing. Okay? So we'll use 2 classes to do dealings and restraint on dealing. So 1.5. So what do you do after this is after the class today, okay, you can read whatever textbook you have and you will understand what is it about together with your national land code. So today, I want you to have your national land code beside you. You listen to me as if you're listening to someone sitting beside you, you know, that kind of like father sitting beside the daughter, the bedside, and say, come, Papa, tell story to you, that kind of thingy. Okay? Now, let's explain story to you. And I want you to have national land code beside you. So then after that, after the class, whatever, you can read the particular chapter 7 and chapter 12 on your own and you will understand. Then after that, you can, during this week, you can go through some of the cases I put here, but then I'll go through those cases with you, okay, next week. Then you have one more homework. You see that summary question there, okay? I want you to go through that summary question and link it to whatever particular area in this story. And actually, you don't have to because I arranged the question in a way is how I arranged the story. So if you look at, here's what are dealings capable, that is your first subtopic here. Type of interest. Then if you see that second one, how to transfer instrument foreigner, that is actually here, transfer. Now, the idea is this. So that I can explain to you. This is the subject of land. Okay, let's say this is land subject. Most of the textbook will explain in a particular method like this. Subtopic, 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 subtopic. If I still go in that way, it's possible, but to me, it's the same like any other textbook anyway, and I don't find it helpful at all. So instead of teaching you from this side, I go from here. I built a story and picture. So once you build that story and picture, you will have a whole idea like this. Then, this is your homework. You will read this, the textbook, and you will understand. Then after that, I want you to come in from here. How? You start with issue and answer. What is the issue? The issue is the question. Okay? That's why I want you to identify the issue. I already identified the possible issue for you based on the summary question. So I want you, after the class today, which I've explained to you, then you read that textbook, you can, you understand. You understand. It is an explain. Then I want you to go the other way around. You start with the issue. Identify the issue from the story. What issue? And then link it to possible relevant case. Link it to possible relevant case, which I also labeled the case there, FLA 4.6. You know what case is it there? Okay? So we attack the whole dealings subject and chapter from different perspective so that your understanding is complete. Can we do that? I think right now, since we have started probably 10 or 11 weeks now, you will see I start to change a little bit how my approach in teaching you because we need to up the game a little bit. So now we need to work together. So when you see that I start teaching you criminal and evidence also a bit different. Okay, so I adjust accordingly based on what I think your needs. Shall we start? Okay, let's start. So if you look at the notes, so after I explain today, you go back and read the study manual, you will understand. Then your next job is to look at this particular question, Okay? Link it to whereabout in the storyline. Because in exam, they always tell you storyline. And also, when you are a lawyer, nobody gonna ask you, Alex, can you tell me what is the instrument of dealing? Can you tell me when can I redeem? They won't. They will tell you a story, isn't it? They will tell you their issue. They will tell you, I bought a land, da, 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 da. From that, you need to identify. So I start with that possible practical scenario for you, which I haven't seen anyone doing this particular way. And I find this way very interesting and efficient, useful. So you go back, read the study manual, and look at the question, and you will know, link it to particular, and look at the relevant case there. You will need to read some cases here. So you will know, LA 4.3, okay? I labeled all it for you so you know. Okay? You know. Okay? Shall we start? So today, we will go through the whole storyline using the character of Farah. Okay, now do that the same thing when we do restraint on dealing. Okay? Now, can we change a little bit of mood? Blue color. Sorry, let me play around. I haven't got the chance to play around with this. No, I don't like greens. Blue sounds nice. No, very dodgy. Right? This one, like this one. No, I don't like. Okay, let's stay back with this one. Okay, this one. Okay, stay back the same. Okay, let's start. Okay, everyone relax. Just listen to our storytelling. And you understand. You open up your national land code next to you, together with your textbook if you want, and your chapter 7 and chapter 12, and whoever those, I didn't supply textbook to you because you are reciting or whatever. Okay, use back the same textbook. All right? Okay, let's look at the story and start. When we talk about dealings, okay, just listen, understand, then you understand. This is what you need. Because if you dive straight into the chapter, everyone can write good textbook better than me. So let me just focus on what I do best. Talk, explain. So I leave that textbook there. When we talk about dealings, we talk about deal, D-E-A-L. Okay? And where about in your national land code that talks about dealing? Okay, open up on your national land code. We read this statute together, isn't it? What part talk about dealing? So your dealings, it's under Division 4, Alienated Lands Dealings, Part 13. Did you see that? 205 onwards, including Part 13, Part 14, Part 15, Part 16, Part 17, Part 18. Okay? Then next week, we will do Part 19, which is Restraint on Dealing. Dealings is deal, transfer, easement, lease, tenancy. So let's start with the story of Farah. Okay? Okay, let me talk story. Farah owned a small shop lot in Ipoh. On paper, it looks simple. One owner, one title, nothing registered over it. Okay? But in real life, several people quietly had claims over that same piece of land. Because now, in exam also, they'll give you scenario like that. So what I try to here, it's I go the practical scenario, and I want you to go from the other side to attack the subject. So we have many different angles. First, there was Mr. Lim, a private lender. Farah borrowed $150,000 from him to renovate the shop. They signed a proper written agreement that clearly said that the land was to stand as security for the loan. So if you wanted to borrow money from the bank, borrow money from someone, they will lend you, but of course they'll say, okay, I can lend you certain money, but I need to have some security. In case you cannot pay back, I'll probably take the land and sell or whatever to recover my loss. Isn't it natural? Understand? Okay? Okay, like that? Okay, just a relaxed mode. Listen to it. Under the National Land Code, what they really should have done was to create a registered charge. So then after that, we talk about charge down there. You see that? 4.4, charge. Okay? So then you understand what section, what is it? So that's what we say a charge. So if you go to the bank, you wanted to buy a property, a condo, 1 million, you paid 100,000. And of course, you don't have cash to pay the remaining 900,000. You go to Maybank and you apply for a loan of Maybank. Maybank give you a loan. So Maybank will take the house, the condo, and register a charge over the condo. And every month, you will pay back monthly loan to Maybank. If you didn't pay back, the Maybank will go and take your house and lay long it off to recover their losses. So the whole chapter of dealings is about this, the procedure and small things in there. Sounds okay, everyone? Okay? Still understand? Okay. So where is it? Here, we are here. Under the National Land Code, what they really should have done was to create a registered charge. Sometimes you hear the word registered charge, statutory charge. Why? Because the charge, it's under statute. Why do they call it a statutory charge? Because we follow torrent system. Because everything has to be registered. That's why we call it registered statutory, because it's governed under the statute. If you have, sometimes you see, okay, I want to teach you something. We have many laws in Malaysia, but sometimes there are a particular set of laws that deal with that. So for example, you see, does rules of high court deal with land issue? It does. Why? Because land, it's still civil matters. If in the procedure, you need to go to the high court to apply something, you will still fall back and look at rules of the court, civil procedure. But also, we have a piece of legislation that deals with land. So in the future, let's say you are a lawyer, okay? You come across a certain act or whatever, you're dealing with certain case. You follow first that particular act that talks directly about that thing. That is your main criteria, okay? I mean priority. Then after that, you look at other relevant, for example, rules of court. Because it does govern, rules of court govern everything. If you go to the high court, that is the procedurized. Okay, understand? So now we have the National Land Code. That's why they call it a registered charge or statutory charge. You fill up the prescribed form, lodge it at the land office, and have chargee Mr. Lim. So you have two terms: chargo, chargee. Chargo, chargee. Okay, I said to you, just remember Bawang Chargee. Okay. Chargo is the owner. Who is the owner? The owner is always Farah, because he is the one, even though he didn't pay everything, the cash to buy the property or whatever. Let's say I said you buy a condo, you borrow money from the bank. The owner, the chargo or the registered proprietor is always Farah. The bank that lend you money is what we call chargee. Same thing here, Mr. Lim is a chargee. So Mr. Lim title will appear, name appear in title. Why? Because under torrent system we studied, isn't it? Everything have to be registered. And sometimes we call it legal charge. Why legal charge? Because it has been registered. So you see the term, legal charge, registered charge, statutory charge is the same meaning. A legal charge is something the NLC allows and expect to be registered. Why do I like that expect to be registered? Remember on the first chapter I said to you, there are certain things that you cannot register under National Land Code. Other than that, everything need to be registered under National Land Code. What section? What section? Now, I don't want you to memorize. If you don't remember, you cannot now. Open up National Land Codes. Look at the arrangement first. Sometimes I find students panic. In exam, this is what they do. They know it's in there. Oh my God. Oh, by the way, today it's the conditional exam paper. So I just finished guiding them for the past 30 days. So good luck to them. I know they will do well. Right? Because just to tell you a little bit of experience, normally when it comes to conditioner, I'm not worried. I said this because I can really sense it. Sometimes my sense is quite okay. I can sense it from students. They are quite calm. Okay, they can handle the stress very well. Things that's good. To me, like I keep saying to all of you, it's the mental preparation that's most important. Okay, right? The notes, whatever, just leave it to me. Now, sometimes I find students they panic. They keep like that. Where? Not here. Hey, don't panic. Start with arrangement. Open up, everyone. Okay? Look at the arrangement. Where about in your section that talk about everything need to be registered and some do not need to be registered? So if we talk about registration, what are we talking about? We are talking about dealings. Where about is dealings? Division 4, Alienated Lands Dealing Part 13 General. That should probably be somewhere around there, right? So don't panic. Look at the arrangement. Where about? 206. Did you see 206? Need for proper instrument of dealing duly registered. Then you flip to 206. Two-step done. Look at arrangement, find it, then look at the particular section. Don't go and panic. Sometimes you think, oh my god, like that, flip, cannot find. Time start to run. Okay, don't panic. Okay, what does 206 says? Subject to the following provisions, every dealing shall be effected by an instrument complying with the requirement of all section 207 blah blah blah. No instrument affecting any such dealing shall operate to transfer in case may be. So every dealing under this act must comply. And what dealing are we talking about? Easement, lease, charge, whatever just seen in the first page of your arrangement. You also see 206 sub 2, which says some of the things that cannot be registered under National Land Code. What is it? Creation of other dealings affecting tenancy exempt from registration, creation of liens. So statutory lien cannot be registered under National Land Codes. And also, tenancy less than 3 years cannot be registered under National Land Codes. Tenancy more than 3 years, we call it a lease. Where about in your section talk about tenancy more than 3 years? Okay, don't panic. How I teach you? Go back to the arrangement. After 206 is what? Look down. 213. 213. Okay? So now, textbook, look at arrangement. Look at chapter 7. Look at the arrangement. Arrangement, chapter 7. You see chapter 7, introduction, or whatever textbook you have. You see that interest capable of registration, type of unregistered interest, and type of unregisterable interest. Interest capable of registration, there will be charge, tenancy more than 3 years, okay? Type of unregisterable interests, okay? Type of unregistered interest. So if you look at, okay, this is the one. Type of unregisterable interest, sometimes you don't have to, I think the book separate into, you just write types capable of registered and type not capable of registered. Type of unregistered interest means you cannot register. That is under your liens, tenancy, less than 3 years, okay? Then of course the book separate into type of unregisterable interests, those things that not governed by National Land Code. For example, I borrow money to you, okay? I lend you money, you want to go and register a charge over my land, okay? No. Let's say I didn't pay you money, okay? Because you renovate my house, I didn't pay you money, you feel bad, okay? Then you go and register a caveat over my house, cannot. Okay, we'll do that under restraint on dealing. Okay, so that is what we're talking about here. What are the things can be registered and what are things? Just remember the things that cannot be registered. It's a lien and tenancy less than 3 years. And also a right in personam. Okay, right in personam cannot be registered. We'll do that when we do restraint on dealing, caveat. Farah, okay, continue the story, but Farah and Mr. Lim never did that. They kept it between us only. They said like, okay lah, we're a good friend, we don't have to do it. So what did Mr. Lim end up? Not a legal charge, but an equitable charge. What is it? English equitable principles. By right, you should have registered it. And you didn't. If you didn't register it, what kind of rights do you have? Then we fall back to what? Section 5. Your Civil Law Act, what like that? Section 4, Section 6. Or Section 3, Section 6 of your Civil Law Act. National Land Code didn't say they prohibit the creation of equitable interests. So, and we said, and I will give you like Bertrand's concept, all these cases, the court in Malaysia do recognize equitable interests. So Mr. Lim, because he didn't register, so it's not a statutory charge, it's not a legal charge, it's not a registered charge. It is a equitable charge. Use the correct term. A security right that exists in equity because of the agreement, but does not appear on the register. His interest is real but weaker. It does not enjoy indivisibility. So now you know the indivisibility. And it can be lost if someone else later come in as a bona fide registered purchaser or chargee. What are the rights of an equitable chargee? We'll see later. We briefly talk about this and I give you one case and we'll go deeper into the case today and next week. When it comes to English Equitable chapter, I said you must know bare trust concept, you must know equitable charge, you must know equitable liens, you can also talk about equitable mortgage, equitable lease. And I give you one case there. And today I give you a little bit more case, you can use all these cases. Malayan Banking, Ahmad Zahari. Zahari Ahmad. Malayan Banking, Zahari Ahmad, isn't it? You go back and look at the case. So, understand so far, Mr. Lim, Farah, storyline. Okay, next, move on. Then there was Kumar, the contractor. Farah owed him 40,000 for renovation work and kept delaying payment. Afraid she might run from the debt, Kumar insisted that Farah hand him the original issue document of title. Sometimes we call it IDT as security. How many titles does a land have? One land, one title. You cannot have one land, 10 title. If there's one land, 10 title, then there must be something forgery, fraud going on. Because one land can only have one title. So you see, if let's say I buy a house. So I explain from a different perspective so you understand. The house costs 1 million and I paid 100,000, 10% as deposit. So I borrow 900,000 from Maybank. All right. So Maybank will pay 900,000 to the developer. So developer get 1 million already lah. So the developer will release the house to me. But then monthly loan I pay Maybank, correct? Okay, just like how your parents do it. So if Maybank, I didn't pay back the loan, Maybank will take my property and sell it off to recover the loss, isn't it? So in that kind of scenario, who keep the title? In Malaysia, every country is different. Okay? In UK, their mortgage system is different. In here, this kind of loan system, the bank will keep the title. Bank will keep the title until the day where you finish paying loan, then they will return the title to you. Okay? So on the title itself, whose name is on the title? In Malaysia's system, your name is on the title. Even though you only pay 10%, the rest remaining 90% is paid by Maybank. The bank won't put their name as on the title. So who's the owner or registered proprietor? You. Or let's say we use Farah. Okay? Then the Maybank will register a charge. In certain countries, for example UK, if they kind of do the mortgage system, their style is different. Because let's say Farah is in UK. Or let's say let's say Alan. Okay, Alan is in UK. Okay, Alan stay in the UK, is a British citizen. So he buy a house from the developer and he paid 10% and the remaining 90% he borrows Barclays Bank or HSBC in the UK. Okay, for those studying in UK, you know, right? This banking, I used to have a HSBC as well. Okay, in the UK. And in your UK, when the bank lend you certain money, the name on the title is the bank. After you finish, only they transfer the name of the title from the bank to you. That kind is a different. So don't one size fit all approach. When you read, sometimes you see UK different. So come back to Malaysia, it's just now. Okay, our style is like this. So one IDT. So here, Kumar insisted Farah hand him IDT as security until she paid. Farah agreed and passed him the original title. By doing that, with a clear understanding that the title was held as security, Kumar became a lien holder. Okay? He had a lien over the land created by the deposit plus the intention to create security. That lien itself is unregisterable interest. Why? Section 206, statutory lien cannot be registered. You cannot go to the office and register lien in favor of Kumar as a dealing on the title. However, what Kumar can do is to lodge a liens holder caveat based on the liens. That the lien then leaves off the register, but the caveat appears on the register as a warning. And you see that today also we do this chapter on statutory liens, and we explain more in there. What particular section? 281. What particular sections? Okay, now, National Land Code. So you read, understand the story together with the National Land Codes. Where about talk about liens? (281) Creation and effect of liens. And what other sections you talk about lien? We'll talk more about this when we do next week restraint on caveats. Liens holder caveat 330 and 331. Again, don't bang on your memorization or 330. Look at the arrangement, find from the arrangement, and you see there. 281. Why is it under 281? Because 281 it's under the part Part 16, charges and liens. Part 16 is under division 4, dealings. We are still under dealings. And because 206 say you cannot register a statutory lien, in order for Kumar to protect himself, the one way is he go and register a liens holder caveat. Liens holder caveat is section under 330 and 331. 330 and 331 is under what subtopic? Under liens holder caveat. Under part 19, restraint on dealing. Restraint means what? Lock you, stop you from dealing further. Now, does it make sense? Because the liens holder caveat is to stop you to deal with the land. Just by this particular paragraph, you will see, in order to register, in order to have a statutory lien. Now, everyone look at 281, which we'll come back later on. You see section 281? Okay, everyone open up 281. Any proprietor or lessee for the time being, I'm reading from 281, may deposit with any other person body as security is IDT. Okay, issue document of title, may be duplicate list, and that person body may thereupon apply part 19, chapter 1, part 19. What part 19? Restraint on dealing. To register a liens holder caveat. In order to have a valid statutory lien, there are 3 steps, and also you see that in 4.9 statutory lien that I write there. Number 1, you deposit the IDT. Deposit means what? Let's say Farah and Kumar. Farah give his title to Kumar. Deposit. And there is an intention to create a statutory lien. That's why you see Farah agrees. Clear understanding. By doing that, there's a clear understanding. There's an intention. And third, a registration of liens holder caveat. So 3 steps. And also, when we do English equitable principle, what if Kumar forget to register liens holder caveat? And I give you a case. Mercantile Bank Hao Han Te. Kumar get equitable lien. His right is in equity, and we'll look more at that. I'll give you more case today. Okay, understand everyone? Okay, move on. Then there's this Aisha. Aisha ran a small bakery on the ground floor. Farah rented the place to her for 2 years. They signed a tenancy agreement, paid deposit, everything proper, but the tenancy was less than 3 years. And under section 213, such a tenancy cannot be registered. It lives entirely on the registered. But there is also one way, if Aisha wanted to have not register, to make a note in the title that he stayed there. He can go to the land office and make an endorsement on the title. Think of it as if you go to the land office and say, hey, Land office, can you find out this Farah title? Go in land office, find, then take out. Here, this is the title. Then it's like Aisha telling the land office, can you put a sticky note in front of the title and just write there, I stay there, Aisha stay there. That kind of meaning, endorsement. Okay? Here. That means Aisha's name would never appear on a title. Why? Because 206, tenancy less than 3 years cannot be registered. That means and Aisha's name will never appear, and she had no power to stop Farah from selling the land to somebody else. If Farah sold the shop tomorrow, Aisha could not walk into the land office to stop it. Why? Because Aisha's right is unregisterable. Remember just now we looked at National Land Code, type of interest registered, can be registered, cannot be registered. Her protections was only contractual. She could claim against Farah if Farah wrongfully ended the tenancy, but she had no land right that could block a transfer. So what is Aisha's rights? Aisha's rights is under what? Section 40, breach of contract. Your contracts. Fundamental breach, go to the root cause. Then Aisha will sue Farah under breach of contract. Can Aisha get anything under the statute National Land Code? Cannot. Because his right is not registerable under National Land Code. So, what are the possible section we can refer to? You look at 206 sub 3. Everyone, look at 206 sub 3. So you can listen and jot down this particular section. So then you see that when we explain the story, you follow along the story, you jot down. Then after that, after the class, you can go and read the particular section. After that, I want you to look at question, case, relate it back to the question. So you go from the other side. So then you understand it. Look at 206 sub 3. What does 206 sub 3 says? Nothing in this subsection shall affect the contractual operation of any transaction relating to alienated land or any interest therein. So nothing can stop Aisha from suing Farah on an equity level contract basis. Breach of contract. Why equity? Because you claim damages, isn't it? Section 74, 76, 65, 66. Okay? Okay? Understand? Okay. Next, move on. And there was Nadia, Farah's cousin. Many years earlier, when the shop was not worth very much, Farah told her, if I ever decide to sell this place, I'll give you first priority. They even wrote it down and signed it. Nadia tried to be clever and went to the land office to lodge this first option on the title. But the officer told her gently, this kind of promise is not a registerable interest. You can't put this on the register. So Nadia was left with a personal right against Farah. If Farah broke her promise, Nadia could sue Farah in personam for breach of contract, but she could not stop Farah from selling from anyone else by relying on the register. Now, what's the difference between this and this? This is mentioned in your National Land Code. It's just that it cannot be registered. This is totally a kind of interest cannot be registered at all. So that's why if you look at your study manual, this one that I use, you see the arrangement, chapter 7, arrangement. Type interest capable of registration. Okay, chapter 7, arrangement there. Interest capable of registration will be those dealings transfer. Type of unregistered interest is they group it under those lien. It cannot be registered, so you have to go set lien so the caveat. Or tenancy less than 3 years. Type of unregisterable interest is this kind of Nadia. Cannot. It's not something, a right that the National Land Code give effect. Okay. Now, of course, they divide it into quite particular this the wording, but okay, just take it as this. One day, Farah decided to sell the shop to Maju Trading. Maju's lawyer did a land search. If you work in any law firm, internship, conveyancing, you know every piece of land before you do a transfer, you will do a land search to see what? If there is any encumbrances there, any caveat lodged, any ding 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 dong dong, so that you know, because we practice torrent system, everything is registered. So there's only one place you need to go to find out, land office. You don't have to go here, go there, just one place, land office. On the register, they saw Farah as the registered proprietor and a liens holder caveat in favor of Kumar. Why they don't see rights by Nadia, by Aisha, by Mr. Lim? Because Mr. Lim didn't registered. So it didn't show up in the register. Because Aisha one cannot be registered. Because Nadia one is unregisterable. So that's why they only see Farah's name in there and also Kumar because Kumar registered a liens holder caveat. They did not see Mr. Lim one, they did not see Aisha, they didn't see Nadia's. On the paper, the only visible problem was Kumar's liens holder caveat. Farah and Maju went ahead and signed the sales and purchase agreement. But when Maju's lawyer tried to lodge the transfer, they hit a wall. The officer pointed to Kumar's liens holder caveat and said, as long as this caveat remains, we cannot register any transfer or new charge. The caveat froze the register. That's why, if you look at your National Land Codes, Part 19, anyone? Part 19? Restraint on dealing is to stop the owner or other parties to deal with the land because there's something that locked you there. And what are the methods you can lock there? Lock the land or kind of register your interests. Registrar caveat, private caveat, liens holder caveat, trust caveat, prohibitory order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 ways. So today we already touched on liens holder caveat. Next week we look at registrar and private caveat. You don't have to know trust caveat. Okay? Prohibitory order, we will learn that next week together with your enforcement of judgment. Just nice. I find it quite strange. Every year when I teach, it's so ngam one. Just so ngam one. The topic that I wanted to teach in civil will just match on the civil. Never miss 1 year before. So next week we will do prohibitory order in your enforcement of judgment, and also we'll do, then you understand. Okay? So then you say here, Maju could pay the price, sign on the form, and even hold the documents. But until Kumar's caveat was withdrawn, removed, or lapsed, Maju cannot become. This deal was stuck in limbo at the age of register because there's a liens holder caveat. Technically speaking, okay, when Farah and Maju sign that thing, red light will come already. Because Maju definitely will ask, where's the title? Farah cannot show the title. If Farah cannot show the title, Maju's lawyer, if you're a lawyer, red light, ding, 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 where the hell is the title? You can only have one title in one land. Okay? So I explain a little bit more here before we go down to the statutory. How many liens holder caveat can you register in a land? 1. Because there is only one title. So you see, you don't have to memorize. I know when I talk, when I speak, when students normally write down. But I want your notes to be simple. And sometimes I show you before, I see the notes everywhere. When you revise, how do you go? Here. You also don't know what's your first step, second step, and also what's the main point. So your job from now until February is to make sure your note is tidy and nice, easy to read. Don't come to exam. You are the one. I find sometimes students, it's not that I confuse them. It's they confuse themselves because they wrote the notes down. I say, how do you even read the notes? Okay? Now, I just said something. I said you can only have one liens holder caveat. I know you will write down, isn't it? But to me, there's no need to write down. Why? You don't even have to memorize. Logical. Common sense. One title, one land. If you already use that title to register liens holder caveat, how to use that title, another title to register another one? Because you already got one. And when you read section 281, it also states there. Later we read there. Okay? Meanwhile, Mr. Lim's equitable charge still existed. Because it was never registered, it did not appear in the search. But in equity, it was still a security right attached to Farah's land. Equitable rights. English equitable principle. Does the court give rise to it? Does the court give effect to it? As for Aisha, nothing in the register mentioned her. She could not stop Farah from signing with Maju and could not block the transfer. Her 2-year tenancy was valid between her and Farah, but it did not give her any power over dealings of the register. If Maju eventually become the registered proprietor and refuse to recognize the tenancy, can or cannot? Can, because the contract is between Farah and Aisha on a contractual level. So Aisha, you sue Farah for breach of contract. Can Aisha sue Maju for breach of contract? Cannot. Why? Why? Contract, what we learned? Case. Privity of contract. Case. Kepong prospecting. Case. Bosted dynasty. Bosted naval shipyard. And I also give you one article to read, the exceptions, but I tell you the exception is quite hard to apply. Okay, we stick to the principle, privity of contract. Kumar, on the other hand, had placed himself in the strongest position among the unregistered players. His lien over the land was an unregisterable interest, but his lienholder caveats, okay, was openly on the register. Because of that, no transfer to Maju could be registered until he was paid off, until the caveat was lawfully removed. In practical terms, everyone has to deal with him. And Nadia's first priority to buy never touched the register at all. Okay, when Farah agreed to sell Maju, Nadia had no legal power because Nadia 1 is right in personam. You will see this term, right in personam, right in rem, rem R-E-M, personam P-E-R-S-O-N-A-M. Nadia's right is between Nadia and Farah, has nothing to do with the land. If it's rem, then it is right in the land, R-E-M. Nadia is just me and Farah, not something to do with the land. From outside, it looked like a simple story. Farah selling her shop to Maju, but inside the one transaction were an unregistered interest and so remained an equitable, an unregisterable short tenancy, but did not affect registration, and unregisterable liens that become powerful only because it's supported by a lien, so the caveat which actually brought registration, and purely personal option Nadia that the register completely ignored. The moment that you try to register, the National Land Court quietly decide whose interest can hold up the transfer, whose interest survive only in equity contract, and whose interest the register will simply pretend not to see. In exam, very common, they will give you a scenario like that, many players, and you will have to find out whose priority come first. And you have to analyze, explain, section, case. Understand? And I also told you before, right? I'm very poor in writing essay. And you can imagine how long did I took to write up this whole thing for you. Okay? I have to check my English here and there. Okay? It took me quite some time. I only finished making this note quite late yesterday night. Sounds good? Okay? Now you have a good whole idea about the whole dealings chapter. Then after that, after the break, we continue. We continue with Farah. Now he wanted to sell another piece of land to someone else, to Donald Trump. Okay? So whatever you see there, okay, what we have learned just now, and you go back to the question after your homework, okay? The first homework is you read that. So if you read your section, chapter 7, then you understand what is interest capable, type of unregistered, type of unregisterable, in registration of dealings and interests. Okay? Then, if you look at these questions, what are dealings capable? You can link it to chapter subtopic 4.1. Okay? Later on, 4.2, it's how to transfer, how to attest. So in your question, exam question, few players like that, you will need to know, can be registered or cannot be registered. And this is all your reasoning. Personam, equitable, holder caveat, blah, 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 blah. Are we good? All right, okay. 10 minutes break. Then we come back, continue the story. Okay, in the meantime, you can read your textbook, study manual, or even you want to read the case. All right, 10 minutes break. right, let's continue with our story today. So last week we had Pendidikan Seni. So today we had storytelling. Farah owned a second piece of land at the outskirts of Ipoh, bigger plot she had been keeping for investment. One afternoon, while scrolling through her phone, she received a surprising email. Donald Trump. Just, for fun, just allow me to have fun. Let's have fun in studying, isn't it? Okay? Have fun, enjoy. The American billionaire who somehow had taken a sudden interest in Malaysian property wanted to buy that very plot. Farah didn't mind selling, but this time, unlike her first shop lot, she wanted to do everything properly. The lawyers prepared the Form 14A. Now, where did I get that from? So now, again, look at your front part. Which section talk about transfer? Which section talk about transfer? Okay, your transfer is in... (214), isn't it? Part 14, transfer, 214 to 220. Now, let's look at your 214. So again, start from your arrangements, then go in there. Under 214, you see that power of transfer. What is transfer? Transfer means sell. Okay, sell. Where do I get this Form 14A from? Look at 215. Form and effect generally of transfer of land. So what I want you to do is to read 214 to 220, but there's nothing much to read there. All you have to know is just 214, 215. That's particular transfer. They don't ask you in land, they don't ask you so much about procedure as in like civil. But take note of 214, 215. So how does the Form 14A looks like? Then you look at the back, same thing like your civil procedure. The Form 14A is at the back of your National Land Code. So everyone flips to the back, just have a look. How does your Form 14A looks like? So you see that 14A, transfer of land, share or lease. So because this is a statutory code, your transfer must follow this particular form. You cannot have any other form. You must follow this particular format. Transfer. Okay? Transfer. So you see that transfer of land. So transfer, buy and sell. So now the lawyers prepared the Form 14A. The prescribed instrument transfer. They explained to Farah that sale of land is not complete just because the agreement of signed money is paid. Under the NLC, a transfer must be done using Form 14A, and the form must be properly attested under Section 211. So what is 211? Let's look at 211. Attestation of instrument of dealing. So means you sign already, you need someone to attest it, to certify it for you. Okay? Then after that, okay, you look at, okay, you look at your Form 14A again. If you look at your Form 14A, you see transfer of land, share, or lease, right? You see that under the form, there's this attestation clause. That kind. So it must be attested. So under 211, okay, you see under 211, every execution by a natural person of any instrument, blah, 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 provided that this requirement shall not apply to the execution instrument, blah, 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 all these things. So basically, they list there who can attest it for you. So it can be attested by the state director, the registrar, any land officer. No, not this one. Sorry, I confused. Okay, let me explain again. Your transfer is Form 14A. It must be attested according to 211. And who can attest it? You look at 5th schedule at the end of your National Land Codes. Find 5th schedule at the end of National Land Codes. First time you look at it, you may need some time to find it. Okay, I'll give you some time, 30 seconds to find it. 5th schedule of your National Land Codes. Okay, found it? So if you see under 5th schedule, it says there, every execution by a natural person of any instrument affecting any dealing other than instrument, blah, 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 shall be attested one of these. In any state, means state lah, Johor, Penang, Kelantan, Kedah, can be by magistrate, state director, registrar, land office, ANS, or notary public. So you are the one. You can have to attest that. Okay, or maybe we do notary public. Not everyone can be notary public. Normally they are lawyer, but they need to be a few years after being a lawyer. Okay, okay, later I'll talk about it. I'm not going to spend time to talk about your registration of exam because I put a note in the WhatsApp because I don't want to take time from your studies. So I think you see that also who can certify your documents. Not every lawyer, any lawyer. Sometimes I say, oh, they find a lot. No, not lawyer cannot certify your documents for your application or exam. It has to be notary public if you want, or those list of person kumpulan A. And if you need our help, okay, then please post it to us by that particular date. So I will not spend time to go through that registration. You read it according to the syarat kemasukan and also the exam application that we make for you. If you don't understand, then you come to us. Okay, you just text me. Okay, so here, come back here. Under the NLC, transfer must be done. 14A, the form must be properly attested. And section 211, 5th schedule. So if you look at 5th schedule, so it depends. So if let's say you transfer a title or sell a piece of land, and let's say Alex sell to Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee currently staying in Australia. So you have to send the form to Australia to be signed by Mr. Lee. When Mr. Lee signed the form in Australia, who can attest it? Then you look at this 5th schedule. Do they talk about Australia or not? So if it's Australia, don't have because you see state of Sabah, Sarawak, India, Pakistan, Singapore, Sri Lanka, Brunei, any other Commonwealth country other than those referred to this, then he will need to go by 5th schedule, para 9. That form signed by Mr. Lee because he is a Malaysian, but currently maybe he stay in Australia for holiday, visiting his son. Then when he signed the form 14A, it must be attested by those people under para 9 because currently is in Australia. If let's say Mr. Lee currently resides in Singapore, he is a Malaysian maybe, then his form that signed 14A must be attested by this para 6. Understand? That means Farah has to sign a form in front of the authorized attester, a solicitor, land, or a person allowed under 5th schedule. Someone who would check her identity, watch her sign, and certify that she really was the owner transferring the land. No attestation, no valid dealing. So, my question to you is this. If Farah sell it to, let's say, another party. Let's say Farah sell it to Mr. Lee. Farah signed a form 14A. Send it over to Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee signed form 14A. Send it back to Farah. But they didn't get it attested. How? What happened? We learned that. Section 340. What is Section 340? Indefeasibility. Look at Section 340. Sub 2. The title, I'm reading for Section 340 Sub 2, or interest of any such person, body shall not be indefeasible. Where A, B, and C. So you look at B, where registration, okay, was obtained by forgery or by means of an insufficient or void instrument. Because they didn't attest it. It was not complete. So Mr. Lee get what? Defeasible title. Sounds logic? Okay. Now it start to link a little bit between between chapters. All right. Her lawyers, Farah shook her head, thinking how she sold the first property to Maju without understanding any. But there was another problem here. Donald Trump was a foreigner. So of course, Farah signed with Mr. Lee or Donald Trump. They all use Form 14A. They all must be attested under Section 211 and 5th schedule. But Donald Trump is a foreigner. If he is a foreigner, then he got something extra. The lawyer explained under Section 433B, Trump had to obtain state authority consent before he could register the Form 14A. Now, look at 433B. What is 433B? Non-citizen and foreign companies may acquire land only with the approval of state authority. Why is that the law like this? Of course, you now see there is A and B means after amendment come in. Why do they have this kind of law in our national land codes? Because land is limited. If we allow any foreigner come in to buy our land and they took our land to sell it off, then done, habis, all the land gone. That's why also you look at when we do the chapter on Malay reserve land, that was from the era of British, penjajahan British. Because when the Chinese and Indians start to come in, the Malays start to feel insecure. The kind of, what if our land is being taken by this kind of outsider? They call it, okay, at that time we were outsiders. We are not all Malaysians. So that's why they have this Malay reserve land. So because land is limited, whichever country you go, you cannot freely buy the piece of land. Even we, Semenanjung people, go to Sarawak, we cannot buy land in Sarawak and Sabah. It can only be sold and buy by Sarawakians and Sabahans. So that's why you have protection here. And every state authority has a limit. If in Sarawak, I think the minimum piece of property that you can buy for foreigner, I think is 600,000 and above. They cannot buy lower than 600,000. In Penang, I think it's 2 million. I cannot be sure, or 1.5. In Selangor, it's at least 1 million property only they can buy. Okay? So, first, Mr. Trump must buy the property and Farah selling to her must be over 1 million. Depending on the state, every state is different. Because why? Because all state land belong to the Sultan of that state. So you need to follow the state law. And the state consent under 433B. So my question to you again. What if Donald Trump signed the Form 14A with Farah, but Donald Trump didn't get a state authority consent pursuant to 433B? What happened? You know the answer, isn't it? Section 340, divisible, void, insufficient. And I also give you some cases there when we do indivisibility. Okay? Trump complained loudly that he had never ever the position to buy land anywhere in the world, but the state government Perak was unmoved. Okay? If he wanted the land, he had to follow Malaysian law. Under 433C, the land office also had right to impose conditions, approval fee, reject application depending on the type of the land. So Trump lodged his application to state authority, paid the processing fee and waited. So they are questioned in here, asking you how to transfer to a foreigner or maybe give you a situation that is a foreigner, so you know. So now if you link back to the question, that is what your homework. You see that? How to transfer here. So then you know what particular section, 215, 211, 5th schedule, 433B, 433C, using the story here. So now, because I want to train you all, so now because when you think about it first now, because what happens is I find when students think about land, let's say I talk about dealings, their brain, they'll go, oh, okay, it can be a redeemed property, it can be statutory lien, it can be charged. So it's here and there, here and there. And when they put in a question, they find it very hard because their processor in the brain, like, they cannot process fast enough. They're stuck here and there. So that's why what I try to do is to build a story for you. So now when you think about dealing, the first thing you think about is the story I built to you. Then you go back, you read the study manual, then you do the practice question case. Then you're complete. Okay? The land officer reminded everyone, under 215, the transfer only takes effect when it's registered. Why? Because we practice torrent system. Not before, not signing. Not when money is paid. Registration is everything. She realized that until the land office keyed the transaction, she was still the legal owner. Trump may have paid millions, the form might be perfect, but the agreement might be alright, all airtight. Okay? But ownership changes only upon registration. 2 weeks later, Farah received WhatsApp message from a lawyer. Transferred registered title now reads proprietor Donald Trump. So 14A attested, signed, paid money, done. So my question to you again. If Farah has signed everything with Donald Trump, and let's say Donald Trump paid all the money, get state authority get state authority consent, whatever. However, Farah's lawyer forget to change the name into Donald Trump's name. What happened now? Does Farah have some kind of rights to it yet? No. Bare trust concept. Farah only hold it under a bare trustee. Bare trust concept for Donald Trump. Case, Borneo Housing Mortgage, Samuel Knight Siang Ting, Karupia Chetia, Hikons Ishak case. So that is your bare trust. Equitable principles. Even though they didn't register, the court recognized it. And just like that, with a single line added to the land register, Farah's second property officially left her hands and entered the hands of a foreign tycoon. She laughed, thinking how different this sale from the last first one. For a shop lot, she barely understood anything about registration, attestation, or hidden interest. But for this land, she saw how the law actually works. Form 14A, what section? 215. Attestation, what section? 211. Refer to 5th schedule. Foreigner, 433B, 433C. Does it make sense now? Okay, I've never talked about anything extra that is not in your national land code or nothing. Or what. So far, everything is in your national land code. It's just I built the story for you. Now let's move on. Farah had just finished selling her second property to Donald Trump when she decided she wanted to buy a new shop lot for her business. This time, after everything she had gone through, she told her lawyers, I don't want any surprise. Please check the title properly. So, let's say you work internship or what, law firm. If you do conveyancing, before you buy and sell a property, you will do a land search. Correct? Her lawyer began with a private search under 384. It was quick, online, and cheap. Why 384? Again, start with your arrangement section. Okay? You look at arrangement sections. You look at part 27. Part 27, section 384, 385, 386. Then you flick to 384. So, there are two kinds of search there. Private search or official search. So, lawyer, you will do the search to make sure there is no caveat, liensholder caveat, because when you do a search, the result will tell, oh, there is a liensholder caveat by Kumar. There is a registered caveat by Mr. Lim. Because once they register it, it will appear on the title, and registration is everything because we follow torrent system and you can see, isn't it? Okay, so far, follow along. So, then, let's follow the story. The search showed basics, the land description, the registered owner, whether there was a charge or caveat. It will show everything. Charge by Maybank, caveat by, okay, or charged by Mr. Lim, okay, caveat by liensholder caveat by Kumar, everything. But the lawyer reminded her gently. A private search gives information, but it carries no guarantee. If anything in the private search is wrong, the government is not responsible. The result looked clean, but the lawyer said, before we sign anything, we must get an official search under 385. So they filed the form at the land office. An official search wasn't just information, it was a document issued by the registrar himself, stamped, certified. This one, the lawyer said, you can rely on in law. If the land office make an error in the register and that error shows up in the official search, you may claim compensation under section 386. The official search came back next week and again everything looked fine. No charge, no caveat, the proprietor was a man named Encik Rajan, everything seemed straightforward. Until Rajan's brother marched into the office claiming he had a private agreement giving him first priority to buy the land. He promised to sell me, the brother complained loudly. Farah lawyers looked at the official search and calmly said, I'm sorry, But under the National Land Code, only what is on the register matters. Your private arrangement is not on the register, and it's not something that can be registered. Our client is entitled to rely on the official records. What happened with this Rajan's brother? That is like on the person name level. Same thing like that just now. Is it Nadia? Farah suddenly understood. A private search tells you what title looks like, but an official search tells you what the law would stand behind. And if the official search turns out to be wrong because the register was wrong, Section 386 let you claim compensation. Now, just like what I said here, they will have questions, give you a scenario like type of interest. You have to identify each individual players. There are also questions in exam talking about 211 schedule foreigner in divisible void instrument. There are also questions on this comparing between private and official search. And now your homework. Question, I already tell you the homework. I should have leave this to you, right? Okay, I think now I don't have to go through back the question to and fro. Like, you understand what I want you to do? Look at the questions, link it to which particular part, and then see what are the relevant cases you need to know here. LA 4.3, these two cases. And then you go and look at the case. This is your homework. Of course, we'll go through the case, some of them next week. Okay? Then you see here. Now we touch on the case. You see, I give you a lot of case there. Now, not every, of course, I put it in red color, and most of them, some are important. Because there are a lot of cases, I will say that you can read the summary lah. Okay, because I built a summary for most of the case, probably 90% of the case here. Okay, of course, if you want more time, then if you want to read the case, can. Let me briefly tell you here. Okay, briefly, you can make a mark. What is the really, really important one? Pendaftar hak milik Po Yang Hong. The one I mentioned is really important one. Tirai Crystal. Oriental Bank Chap Sink. Jacob OCBC. Lo Li Lian Ban Hin Li. Kim Lim, at this one as well. Kim Lim Housing Development. RHB Datuk Muhammad Hamzah. Tamis Nisha. MJ Frozen Food. Mui Beng Cham Kim Yi. UMBC Chong Bun Sun. Lecumanian Supia. Mercantile Bank Hao Hante. Perwira Afin Selangor Properties. Okay, or more as well. Or more. Okay. Now, other cases, they are not that say that less important. But if you see, there are a lot of cases under 4.6. Some of the cases I give you, like Fu Yok Fun's, Multipurpose Bank, this one which I didn't mention, they are there to as a articulation case for you when you do a question in exam, particularly with regard to Order 83 of your Rules of Court. Remember last week I say I will teach Order 83 here. Okay, so today we go through it, Order 83. Alright, so what I've just mentioned just now are some of those really, really important ones. So of course I put it in red color, it helps you to articulate. So since there are quite a lot of cases, in order not to burden you too much, okay, you can focus on the summary. Now if you see all these cases here, you don't really need to follow facts. But now this is not typo. This is really true. I want you to know the facts of this case. Okay, Lecumana Supia and Ravi Raju. Alright, so okay, let's continue. So their search, Tirai Crystal Po Yang Hong, came out quite a few times in an exam before, and you will need to know in detail. So I don't want to go through the question, a case. So I want you to build one layer for you first. Next week, then we go one step up. We look at the cases. So in the meantime, this week when you're free, read the case and also the question. Okay, now let's move on. Charge. Farah finally found the perfect new shop lot and decided to buy it. But she didn't have enough cash. So she went to Maybank for a loan. The officer approved her financing and explained that because the property would act as the security, they had to create a legal charge. Legal charge, statutory charge, registered charge, they all the same meaning. Under the National Land Code. Farah, remembering how Mr. Lim's unregistered agreement become only an equitable charge. Remember the first paragraph, Mr. Lim wanted to do everything properly this time. Now the officer showed her official statutory document Form 16A prescribed under 241 and 242. Now before you flip to 241 and 242, look at the arrangement first. 241 and 242 under what subtopic? So you always start with arrangement, then you go, so you don't confuse, because sometimes, like I said, I feel they flip here, 241, 24 there. So they depends on their memory. Then go to exam, suddenly panic, gone. Oh my God, which section, which section? Don't panic. Start with front arrangement. Now we're talking about charge. Part 16, section 241 to 248. You see that? So now you flip to 241. Form of charges, you see 242, 16A. Okay? Then let's flip to 16A at the back and just see how the 16A looks like. Charge. Secure payment of a principal sum. If you read the form, look at the form 16A. I, blah, 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 of the proprietor. Who's the proprietor? Farah. Okay? I told you, Malaysia, the owner is the Farah. For the purpose of securing the repayment of to the chargee. Who's the chargee? Chargee is Maybank. Name, let's say 1 million, the receipt which are hereby, payment without the payment, blah, blah, signature on behalf of the chargo. Who's the chargo? Chargo is Farah. Then you see attestation. Does this need to be attested? Yes, it would still need to be attested because it's by the law. Section 211, 5th schedule. If you didn't attest, then it's not a valid charge. Okay? Here, it wasn't just a normal contract. It was a strict NLC form with boxes for the land title number, lot details. Farah name as chargo, Maybank as chargee, loan amount, or statutory conditions that come with legal charge. The officer explained that NLC only recognized a legal charge when Form 16A in use, and any other format would simply be rejected because it's strict. There is a law on this we must follow. Farah also signed, attested 5th schedule, a lawyer checked her IC, watched her sign, endorse, okay, because the lawyer is a notary public maybe. Without this attestation, Land Office would not accept. When both Farah and Maybank had signed, submitted, Farah learned something important. Even though she had signed the document and Maybank had approved the loan, the charge did not legally exist yet. Her lawyer reminded her a dealing only takes effect when it is registered. Why? Torrent system. So now, okay, stop there for a while. Textbook. Chapter 12. Look at chapter 12 arrangement. Okay, just now you see chapter 7. Chapter 7, you see that? After we talk about chapter 7 arrangement, you see person, body in whose favor dealings are capable of being registered. Minors, mentally disordered. You see non-citizens and foreign corporation, page 239. That's what we talk about. 433B, 433C. Okay? Now you see that other down there, execution, attestation, power of attorney. These are all the procedure, very in detail. So you can read that on your own. Okay? How you attested it. The book are much more in detail. Then you move on to chapter 12 arrangement. You look at chapter 12 arrangement. Security dealings over land or lease. Introduction. Security transaction. Mortgage. Okay? Now, I didn't talk about difference between a mortgage and National Land Code, but I give you a case there called BBMC. Doric Development. Okay? I think if you read that case also and you read here, it's fine, but I don't think it will be tested. Now, then you see deed of assignment. I'll talk more about deed of assignment when we do Housing Development Act. Then you see charge. You see that? Power of charging and creating a charge under National Land Codes. Effect of a registered charge. That is what we have done so far. Charge. 241, 242, Form 16A, attestation. So when you read there, the page of charge is under 371. Okay, you briefly scroll to page 371. Okay, regardless what textbook you use, is the same. Okay, never mind. So you see charge, chargo, chargee, all right? Power of charging, restriction on power of charging in section 241 sub 3. Creating a charge under National Land Code Form 16A, 16B, chart annexure 211, effect of a registered charge. So instead of explaining this is what, I use a story to build for you, then you understand, then you can go in and look at this is what which you already know. Okay? Now, read on. What if Maybank forget to register the charge? After a few weeks, okay, just when Farah thought everything was settled, something unexpected happened. She was speaking to her own lawyer about another matter when he mentioned, by the way, Maybank still hasn't shown up on your title search. Farah looked confused. But I already signed the form. Isn't Maybank registered as chargee? Now the lawyer frowned and called the bank solicitor. After a short tense silence on the phone, the truth came out. Maybank lawyer had forgotten to lodge, put in the drawer, forget already, ask the clerk to do it, clerk go on holiday, then sick, then quit the job, totally forget the form is in the drawer. Cham, die lo. How? Die already lo. How? Because if it's not registered, then what happened? That means the charge was never registered. Even though Maybank really released the loan, they already gave the money to Farah to buy the property, but they didn't register the charge. Then you say, even though Farah had agreed to charge the land, even though all parties had signed, the National Land Code does not recognize a legal charge unless it is actually registered under 241 and 242 because we follow torrent system. So who was Maybank at this particular point? They are not legal chargee. There is no statutory charge. They are not registered chargee. It is only an equitable charge. Okay, it's equitable charge lah. Chargee is the person. Okay, should I say it was only an equitable charge? Means Maybank is equitable chargee. Okay, just like Mr. Lim. Mr. Lim is an equitable chargee. Maybank is an equitable chargee. So it is an equitable charge. The intention to create security was there, the form was there, but NLC only gave effect when the dealing is entered onto the registered. Maybank interest exists but only in equity, invisible to the world, and with a far weaker protection. Now, even as equitable chargee, Maybank still had some right. It can sue Farah for debt, apply for a court and order for sale, or obtains an injunction stopping Farah from disposing of land. It could also lodge a private caveat to protect its interests, but Maybank could not use the power under National Land Code 256260 because that power is reserved for registered chargee. Now, before you get confused, I gave you a case here. This case said you can't equitable chargee, Malayan Banking Zahari. They go for apply order 83, okay, writ of possession, all right, wanted to sell the land. Okay, they go for order 83, apply writ of possession, wanted to sell the land. If you look at today, Oriental Bank and Chap Sing Restaurant. It's 4.5. Okay? You will see 4.5 case say they cannot apply order for sale. Now, textbook, page 374 and 375. You see position of an unregistered charge, and also they quoted the case of Sime Bank. For those that don't have the textbook, you can also write this case down. Sime Bank, S-I-M-E, then bank, S-I-M-E, bank, Sime Bank against Muhammad Hassan bin Sulaiman. Sime Bank against Muhammad Hassan, H-A-S-S-A-N, bin Sulaiman, which say equitable charge cannot apply order for sale. So now, my question to you, why in here, okay, order for sale, which Malayan Bank Zahari Ahmad say you can go for order for sale, whereas in case like Oriental Bank Chap Sing Restaurant and also in your study manual, Sime Bank and Muhammad Hassan bin Sulaiman cannot go for order for sale. Now, let me tell you straight the answer. A equitable charge cannot apply order for sale. Equitable charge cannot. So you read on, okay? But Maybank could not use the automatic statutory power under because that power is reserved only for registered charge. And unlike a legal charge, equitable charge can be defeated if FARA were to transfer the land to the bona fide purchaser who value, who had no notice of Maybank. Why no notice? Because you didn't register, so it didn't show up in your title. In short, Maybank still had a security interest, but not the powerful National Land Court back one thought it had. FARA stared at the situation in disbelief. So until Maybank's lawyer actually lodged Form 16A, the bank is just like Mr. Lim. Her lawyer nodded, yes, a much bigger version of Mr. Lim, that's what I write, but still only an equitable charge. And with that, Maybank's solicitor rushed to the land office to lodge, desperate hoping that no other dealing has been registered ahead of them. Because if they didn't lodge and someone cut the queue, go and register first, then die, they cannot register anything. Because until Form 16A was lodged and accepted, Maybank interests remain off the radar, off the register, fragile and always at risk of being overtaken. So, can an equitable charge apply order for sale? Let's say this story, okay? FARA buy the property from Maybank. FARA loan money from Maybank. Maybank loan the lend money to FARA. After few months, FARA didn't pay. So Maybank say, okay, I will take your property and go to sell it off to recover the money I loaned to you. Only realize that their charge was not registered. So can Maybank continue to take that property and go for order for sale? The answer is cannot. An equitable charge has no right to take the property and sell it off. So my question, why in Malayan Banking Zahari Ahmad, they say can? So that is another homework for you. I want you to read the case. Chap Sing Restaurant, Malayan Banking Zahari Ahmad, and also this Sime Bank. I already told you cannot, but how come Malayan Banking say can? So now train a little bit of your skill, case reading skill, and we'll talk about it next week. Okay, I'll discuss this with you. So I'll let you read that first. Okay, and you know no answer. Equitable charge cannot go for order for sale. But why Malayan Banking say can? Okay, what's the can about? Next, so let's say Maybank registered. Okay, they registered already. Right, Maybank registered. So FARA repayment started going badly wrong. She misses a few installments, then stopped picking up calls from the bank. On the register, Maybank is clearly shown because they registered already. Okay, no issue, registered. One, there is a default as defined by the charge terms. Maybank stand at the fork of the road under Part 16. Okay, again, front parts, Part 16. Okay, look at Part 16. If you look at Part 16, charge. So are we now still at the charge? Now, FARA didn't sell the land to Maybank. FARA wanted to buy the land and not enough money, so they go and loan money from Maybank. So Maybank loans some money to FARA, and Maybank now registered a charge. So we solved no more equitable. Maybank realized, fast go and register. Settle, gao tim. So now FARA didn't pay back. What's going to happen? Maybank would take that property, sell it off, lelong. That's why when you drive, traffic light, you see people say lelong house. The lelang is not conducted by Maybank. Maybank, they normally have a third-party company, a auction house that handle all this thing. So this company gonna do the lelang. Okay, this company gonna do the lelang. So you can go and bid. Anyone can go and bid. They have lelang car, lelang motor, lelang house. Also got. Because same thing what, car, motor, you have to pay money installment. You cannot pay, then that's why sometimes you see TikTok video, isn't it? It's like some gangster come and take that person's car. And then like people record big issue. Why? Because the Maybank lend money to this, let's say Alex. Alex cannot pay back. Maybank, they won't ask their officer go and collect. They will sub this deal to a collector, debt collector company. Sometimes this debt collector look a little bit like gangster. Okay? They come and show you, now, fine you already. You didn't. So they want to run past your car. They're not stealing your car because you didn't pay loan for so many months. The bank wanted to take your car. So they will take their car, drive back to the depot, maybe some place to put. Then they go through the procedure and then lelang off that car and sell to someone, second-hand, third-hand buyer, want to buy. At least bank can recover some money. So how does bank earn money? Business. That is it. Interest, all these things. And when it comes to bank, in accounting level, those person, okay, I can talk more about this. When in banking, we always have, not in just banking, in mathematical world, we always have this 70-30, 80-20 ratio. The balance of that thing. Because imagine if bank give out so many loans and cannot collect back all the loans, the bank will go bankrupt. If bank go bankrupt, the country will go bankrupt because it will be a domino effect. And that's what happened in your Lehman Brothers. Have you all read what happened in your Lehman Brothers? Lehman Brothers, they package, sell. That's the US kind of system. And it caused a world recession at that particular time. So they have to count. That's why when you go for loan, they'll check your pay, make sure you can pay back. So that if any loan also they give out and don't care, nobody pay back, the system will collapse. If it collapses, it will have a domino effects on the whole world. Okay? That's how it works. So, Maybank is clearly shown. Okay? Oh, wait. Now, part 16. You look at part 16, charge and lien, and you look at part 16 under that, you have chapter 1, isn't it? So we look at charge already. You have chapter 2. Now you see, you have chapter 3, remedies of charge sale. 253 onwards, up until 269. You see that? Look at your arrangement section. Okay, look at arrangement. Don't look at the statute. Look at arrangement so you can have a big overview. Look at arrangement. Chapter 3, remedies of charge sale. 253 until 269. And then you have chapter 4, remedies of charge possession. 270 until 281. So technically speaking, when the Maybank loan you money, you didn't pay back, Farah. Maybank has two options. They can take your property, sell it off. That is under your chapter 3, remedies of charge. Who charge it? Maybank is a charge. Sell off and recover for any money. Or they didn't sell off. They go for possession. Possession means take your property and hold it. Maybe they want to stay there. Maybe they want to drive the car. 99.99% of the time, the bank will go for sale, isn't it? What's the point? Maybank go and take your possession. Stay there, land. Stay in the house. Ask the staff to stay there. Like staff unit, isn't it? Okay, it's quite not. I haven't seen one yet. Maybe there are, I don't know. But for sure, they will sell it off. So when you didn't pay back, Maybank has two options, two limbs. Sale, possession. Sale, possession. Okay? One road is remedy of possession. The other, sale via a court order for registry title. Now, again, now you look at chapter 3, remedies of charge sale. Look at the arrangement there. You see, it starts off with introduction, notice before sale, procedure, registry title, qualified title, subsidiary title. Then after that, you have section 2, that is under your section 253 to 259, sorry. The other one is you see that section 260 to 269 is land office title. What does it mean? Right, is it? there are two kinds of title in Malaysia. If your title is registered under the registry, and how do we know whether it's registry or not? You look at the title, you look at in front the definition, isn't it? I say interpretation, more than 4 hectare, registrar less than 4 hectare, land office. If your title is registry title, okay, and Maybank wanted to sell it, then their procedure is where? Their procedure is 253 to 259. If Farah's title is land office title, then the procedure is 260 to 269. Now, have I said anything extra? I know you will write down, but I don't want you to memorize. Look at the statute. It is in there. I want you to learn from reading from the statute. Because it says that, isn't it? Procedure, registry title. Then procedure, land office title. Okay? Now, the procedure are most likely not much different. Now, take note. This remedy of possession, it's only available but you will not be tested on this remedy of possession. This remedy of possession is not available for land office title. It's only available for registry title. Okay, remedy of possession is only available for registry title. So we mostly talk about registry title. Okay, even in an exam, most of the time we talk about registry title. So now let's focus on registry title. For a registered chargee under registry title, FARA is in default. So either you take possession 270-277 or ask the court to sell the land. This comes from 253 to 259. In real life, of course, we go for sale because we want money. What's the point? The bank wanted to take possession. So 253 is the gateway. It recognizes that if the chargo defaults, the chargee may seek an order for sale after complying with the notice of requirement. Okay, now flip to 253 now, everyone. Let's read 253. Now, if you see that 253, remedies of chargee, sale, I want you to read 253, 254, 255, 256, 257, 258, 257, 258, and 259. Straightforward, you will understand. Okay? So I now explain here to you. So now the bank decide to sell off Farah's land because Farah didn't pay back the loan. So the first step is they will have to comply with the procedure. Okay? Now look at section 254 and let's read from the statute. Open up section 254. Everyone, put your attention on section 254. So now we all started from the land. How is it? He searched it. Now Farah didn't pay. So the bank wanted to sell it. They don't want to take possession. They want to sell it, and it is a registry title. So let's look at 254. Where in the case of any charge, I'm reading from statutes, any such breach of agreement mentioned in 253 sub 1 has been continued for a period of at least 1 month or such alternative period as may be specified in the charge, which shall not be less than 1 month. The chargee, who chargee? Maybank, may serve on the chargo, who chargo? Farah, notice in form 16D. Okay, how does form 16D looks like? You look at the back. Okay, we'll talk more about this next week when we go through case. So I want to build that layer first for you. Specify the breach required to be remedied within 1 month from the date the notice is served on such alternative period as may be specified, which shall not be less than 1 month, and warn the chargo if the notice is not complied, he would take proceedings to obtain an order for sale. And sometimes we see books write OFS, means order for sale. Okay? Where after the service of such notice, the charged land lease become vested, okay, blah, blah, blah. Now, the important one is section 254 sub 1. These are all the procedure the chargo must comply. Okay, the chargo must comply. Also look at 255, where the principal sum secured by a charge is payable by the chargo on demand. The chargee may make the demand by a notice in form 16E, and in that event, if the sum in question is not paid to him within 1 month from the date on which the notice is served, may apply for an order for sale without being required to serve a notice in form 16D. subsection blah 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 shall apply to 16 as applies to Form 16. So what are the difference between Form 16D and 16E? If you look at the list of cases I give you, the bulk of the case is in this area. 4.6 order for sale. You see that? 4.6, 4.6, 4.6, 4.6, 4.6. So, always in exam, you always quite... this year, do you have order for sale question? I cannot remember. Okay? So, your question most likely come from here. A lot of times. So, these are all about the procedure. They didn't comply, blah, blah, blah. Alright? So, you see 4.6. Now, read on first. Then you understand. So, okay, let's read on the storyline one time first. Okay, then you'll understand what it means. So now Maybank wanted to take. So the procedure, they start look at 253. Okay, after that, they go 254. They must comply everything under 254. Must. 1 month, all these things. Must. If you didn't comply, then what happened? If Maybank didn't comply with the procedure of obtaining order for sale, FARA may be able to set aside for order for sale. How can FARA set aside? You look at section 256. Now look at 256. Look at 256 sub 3. On any such application, the court shall order the sale of the land or lease which the charge relate unless it is satisfied existence of cause to contrary. Sometimes you see certain books write it short form CTT. So if FARA can show to the court that there are some kinds of existence of cause to contrary, for example, Maybank didn't comply with the procedure of obtaining the order for sale, then the court may set aside the order for sale. So for example, they didn't comply at 254. They didn't comply with what, okay, which I'll explain now. If the loan is structured as payable on demand, overdraft or certain, Maybank instead use 255 and issue a Form 16E which demand payment of the sum forthwith, and once that failure to pay within 1 month will lead to application, okay, for order for sale. So at this point, the story gets that terrible letter, 16D or 16E, and does nothing. She ignores it. Default is not remedied. Now Maybank can proceed. Now, there are cases and often issue in here. When to use Form 16D and when to use Form 16E. And I give you 3 cases there and I tell you which one is it now. 4.6 Jacob OCBC. 4.6 Central Malaysian Finance Great Pacific Development. 4.6 Mary Michael UMBC. These 3 cases talk about this issue of whether to use Form 16D or 16E. And you also have to know what is Form 16D, what is Form 16E, what is service of default notice, what is payable on demand. So your homework this weekend is to read out these cases, which I told you important, okay, the one Jacob OCBC, understand it. If you cannot understand it, never mind. Next week, I'll discuss with you. I'll let you do the work first. Can we? Okay, so this is the particular. So if you look at the question, here. So now you know what is amount cause to contrary, section 266 sub 3. Okay, 3 cases there. Once Maybank has served a Form 16D of default and the 1 month period expired without FARA curing the breach, he didn't pay back, still 1 month didn't pay back. The whole sum secured becomes due and Maybank is entitled to apply for an order for sale under the NLC. Because FARA's land is held under registry, the route is judicial. Section 256 says that where the land is held under registry, any application must be made to the court and done in accordance with the civil procedure rules in force. Now, let's look at 256. What does 256 say? The 256 says, sub 2, let's look at sub 2. So 256 is for registry title. 256 sub 2 say, if now Maybank, you wanted to take this registry titles to apply order for sale, where should you get that order for sale from? 256 sub 2 say, any application for an order for sale under this chapter by chargee shall be made to the court in accordance with the provisions in that behalf of any law for the time being in force relating to sale procedure. Means what? Means now you fall back to rules of court. Because what they say is this is statutory. Before Maybank you can do something, you must comply this from 16D, 16E 1 month. Okay, now you comply. So you wanted to get that order for sale. And because 256 says the registered title order for sale can only get from the court, so now civil procedure. So what is the procedure of obtaining the order for sale? Then rules of court. And your procedure, order 83. Let's look at order 83 rules of court. So you comply with the National Land Code already. So now you wanted to go to the court. Because this is a civil matters, you comply with civil procedure ways, how to apply for that, order 83. And if you look at here, very often, there are questions asking you this. So in land exam, you are not provided with rules of court. So you will need to know order 83, rule 2, rule 3, and rule 4. This can come out in your civil procedure question or most of the time in land. And there are quite some cases there. What? So, just to tell you, build you an overview. They must strictly comply with the procedure under Order 83 to obtain that order for sale. If Maybank didn't comply with this Form 16D, 16E, and didn't comply strictly with the procedure stated under this Order 83, FARA can set it aside saying cause to contrary. So I give you here, what is it here? So I leave this to you. Where do I get this from? These are all from your Order 83, Rule 2, Rule 3, Rule 4. Now your homework this week is to read Order 82, Order 83, Rule 2, Rule 3, Rule 4. And I'll go through with you next week. Then you will see here, you see that? Yes, the answer for this question is yes. And if you see this case like Bank Pertanian Malaysia, Zainal Abidin Kasim, Fu Yok Fun Public Bank, Lo Li Lian, Kim Lim, Khalid Fazalo, Multipurpose Bank Maimuns, Perwira Afin, Perwira Habib, all these cases talks about the party didn't comply with Order 83. Now, they didn't state anything new. They just restate whatever the law under Order 83 that it must comply with this and that. But I give you this case. In order in exam, there is a similar issue. You can quote some of this case as your illustration. Also, take note. Some of the cases you read here, for example, Multipurpose Bank Maimun. Okay, you see that Multipurpose Bank Maimun. These are old cases. Means it's based on the old rules of high courts. You see that they will quote RHC. Did I have not this one. Let's see. This one, maybe. Some I didn't give you a summary. It's just straightforward, so you can read that. Very short one. Cannot remember which one. You see that? RHC. So the old RHC and the one that you get now are slightly different. Okay, so take note, how come different? Because before 2012 is this one. After 2012, only then we use the new one. But the principles are almost the same. Okay, so you see that interest rate must be what? Okay, I want you to read this case during the weekend, and I'll briefly go through. These are this not really hard to read, simple one, but like I said, they are there to help you illustrate. But they didn't talk anything different. Okay, it is just that basically they all fall back to the same principle. You must comply strictly with Order 83. They say you must serve 4 days, you must serve 4 days. You cannot serve 3 days, serve 2 days, serve 10 days, cannot. They said you must list down the interest, means you must list out the interest. You cannot don't list. They say you must be allowed the other party to calculate how much up to the date you must. Okay, then you look at how they talk about it. The principles behind it. How do you mean? What do you mean by interest rate must be accurate? If I don't state the interest, like if I just state, okay, 5% up to the date of hearing, can or cannot? Can. Or must I state 15,532 interest, list it exactly? Both also can, as long as you can allow the chargo to calculate the amount of interest that he need to pay. Okay, so now you will need some banking term. What is BLR? Okay, what is BLR? Base lending rate. Okay, now you have some homework to do. Okay, read on. So now this part I leave it to you, your homework. So at least now you know the flow first. You start off 254. All right, you serve registry title. You serve form 16D, 16E. So there are issues there. Always they ask you, which one should you use? What if you use the wrong one? What happened? I give you 3 cases there. Jacob, Central Malaysian Finance, UMBC, and Mary Michael. And I want you to read it. Okay, now you try first. Before I tell you the answer, I don't want you to depend on me so much now. I want you to start to have your own thinking. Then I'll explain to you. After that, what if they didn't comply with Order 83? What does Order 83 say? So you need some memory of Order 83. 4 days lah, this and that lah, this and that. Okay, now you read Order 83. Then I also have a question for you. Because if you look at Order 83, okay, never mind. I don't want to state the question. I want you to read it. See if you can find it out. Okay, sorry. Okay, now you read Order 83, and I'll talk about it and see that when I talk about it next week, did you notice this thing or not? Okay, you read Order 83. So what is it in there? Blah, 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 blah. You must comply. If not, Farah can set it aside. So cases there for you. Always ask this too, always. At the hearing, the judge applies. The court must order the sale of the charged land unless there is a cause of contrary. For example, serious disputes, non-compliance, wrong form, didn't comply with Order 83, okay, all these things. If not, okay, then it grants order for sale Form 16H under 257. Okay, look at your 257, Form 16H. So then, after that, if the order for sale has been granted, what would the bank do? Now the bank got order for sale already. The bank need to sell off the property exactly according to the rules section in 257, 258, and 259 strictly. So the next part that you need to know is once the court has got the order for sale, means now Maybank send Form 16D, 16 and 254, comply. Go to the court, follow civil procedure, Order 83, apply the order for sale. Got it, no issue. So now I say lay long. Why do I say lay long? Because if you look at your section 257 sub 1A, the property must be sold off by public auction. So they must comply exactly with 257, 258, 259 procedure. And I want you to read that. And then you have list of cases there. CIB, Siba Debbie, Kim Lim, Lo Li Lian, all these things. Okay, all the 4.6 lah. All the 4.6. Alright, all the 4.6 there. So, understand? Okay, what if Farah's land is land office title? If Farah's land is under land office title, the governing section is 260 to 268, the procedure. Okay, 269. Okay, 269. So, so they will go and apply for sale pursuant to this particular section. And if you look at 260 to 269, all right, it's almost similar. I would say 95% similar to just the form number different to your registry title sale, but there is something different there. And I'll tell you whereabout is different. The difference, if you look at section 265, procedure at sale, I want you to compare this procedure at sale with the registry title procedure at sale of 259 and see what's the difference there. And I'll tell you next week. You try it first. Okay, just now we say registry title. We said Maybank, you didn't comply. FARA can set it aside, cause to contrary, 256 sub 3, right? Registry title. What about land office? If FARA's title is land office title, what should Maybank do? Maybank start by section 260, okay? So application for order for sale is by form 16G. So again, if Maybank didn't comply with all this procedure, FARA can set aside for order for sale because if FARA can show cause to contrary. But this is a land office title, then we refer to the particular relevant section. We look at 263 sub 1. Look at 263 sub 1. At the conclusion of any inquiry under 261, the land administrator shall order for the sale of land or lease to which the charge in question relates unless he satisfies existence or cause to contrary. So if it's a registry title, FARA wanted to show cause to contrary, what section? 256 sub 3. If it's a land office title, FARA wanted to show cause to contrary, what section? 263 sub 1. Okay, so the procedure for land office is 260 to 269. And I said it's almost similar to the procedure, but there's slight difference. There are two things different. I will tell you one today, and the other one I want you to find it out, and I tell you where about is the difference. You compare 265 with 259 and understand what kind of difference do they mean. Now, just now, we said, if it's a registry title, first, they start off by 254, isn't it? Form 16D, 16E, okay? Then after that, you comply. Then after that, you pursuant to 256, Maybank, go to High Court, apply order for sale, comply with order 83. Once they got it, then they go and do public auction. Then you look at 257, 258, 259. So now if it's land office title, you look at 260. Land office title, this is 260 sub 2. Any application for sale by a chargee shall be made in form 16G. Okay, now briefly look at form 16G. How does it look like? Application by chargee for order for sale, correct? So if we said registry title is 16D and 16E, then here is much more, land office is 16G. Now, they won't ask you to compare the procedure in an exam. Most of the time it's only, they won't ask you to write down the procedure. Please, I said it to you. They won't tell you to write procedure. They will give you situation in a scenario and ask you to find out what was the issue in there. Okay? So if it's land office, then you're from 16G. Now, my question to you before we go for a break now. In registry title, after you send form 16D, 16E, then Maybank go to the High Court, apply order for sale, order 83. So now, let's say FARA's title is land office title. You start off in section 260. You use section form 16G already. The next step, does Maybank go to High Court, apply order for sale, and comply with order 83 or not for land office title? Do they have to comply with order 83 or not for land office title? You look at it and you tell me. And let's go for a 10 minutes break. Okay? You tell me. Where are we here? We are here. Right, 10 minutes break. Right. So, if it is registry title, Maybank has to go send form 16D or 16E, comply. Then after that, you need to go to the high courts. Okay, you go to the high courts and get order for sale, and you must comply with order 83 of your rules of court. So now, okay, do you need, okay, under if it lands office title, then what is the procedure? Then you look at under your section 260, okay, 260 and 268. So do you need to go to the high court to get what do you call it? Order for sale? The answer is no. Because why? Land office title, if you read section 260 to 268, the order for sale, you get it from the land administrator. If you get it from the land administrator, means you're not going to the court. If you're not going to the court, what rules of court are we using? Rules of court only govern those that when you go to the court. Okay? So under your registry title, you have 253, 254. So again, read, understand, it's quite easy. The procedure is very easy, straightforward compared to your civil one. Okay? Read what kind of forms you're going to use. So 253 to 259, isn't it? I said just now, for your registry. And then for your land office, it's 260 to 269. Okay, take note about that. Okay, now let's go to the final few storyline. So I see next week the class I will still do this, but I'm not sure whether I want you to use a full class or maybe half a class. I'll see how it goes. I'll plan about it this weekend. Okay, then after that, registry restraint on dealing, we use one class. Committing equities, 15 minutes done. Then housing development. So next week, one class, two more. Maybe I need one more class, extra one class for PP, and see how I fit it in, or maybe I replace one of those criminal procedure class or evidence class with PP. Okay, so the at least you know before we go for Christmas break, we'll definitely finish land and we'll definitely finish civil. Okay, at least we finish ethics, contract, torts, land, civil. Okay. Now let's look at this right to redeem. Just days before the auction, let's say, okay, regardless of whether is it land office or registry title, so the order for sale, once they got, let's say we talk about registry, easier for you to understand. The order for the selling order for sale must be conducted by public auction. Very strict. Must be by public auction. All right, and there are some cases there you need to read. This 4.7 and 4.8, very important cases that is under your here. MJ Frozen Food, Mui Bank, UMBC, Chong Bun Sun. This Thursday when we do civil, you will come back to this case again, Mui Bank and Chiam Kim Yu, same case. Okay, but I want you to read in detail these three cases, and then you can answer this question. Can a chargo tender conclusion sell by private TT, chargo sell by private treaty? All these questions are there. So now, just days before the auction, because why? Because if you look at your section 257, the sale, okay, look at section 257. Every order for sale made by the court under 256 shall be in form 16H and shall provide for the sale by public auction. So now you follow the story along from the beginning. Farah, we talk about that. Okay, then let's say he wanted to go and sell to Donald Trump. What happens? So he wanted to buy a piece of property. He go and search it. Okay, then he go and borrow money from Maybank. Maybank registered a charge. So if Maybank doesn't register a charge, what happens? Now, let's say he got a charge. He didn't pay. The Maybank go for order for sale. So the order for sale must be conducted by public auction. That is clearly stated under your section 257. So then, just days before the auction, Farah was in full panic mode. The court had already issued Form 16H. Where does Form 16H comes in? Under your 257 sub 1. Stated under your 257 sub 1, your order for sale. So the High Court already issued Form 16H. Because you go to the High Court, Order 83, you apply, blah, 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 you comply with Order 83, procedure, then you got it. And registrar had fixed a reserve price. When you lay long, okay, they will fix a reserve price. Let's say the property market price is 1 million. If you lay long, you cannot be putting 1 million. Then what's the point I come and buy from you and go and buy from another person? They will put it lower, maybe 700,000 to attract people coming and you start to bid. So sometimes I have friends, okay, that purposely go and buy all lay long properties, renovate it and flip it or rent it out to sell because the profit margin is higher. Okay, if we have time, we talk more about it, how it works next week. So here, High Court fix. Then something unbelievable happened. You see, Farah borrowed money from Maybank, 900,000 to buy the 1 million property. Farah couldn't pay back few months of loan. Maybank take the property, wanted to sell off, recover their losses. Something unbelievable happened. While passing the Toto shop, Farah casually bought one of those lucky pick lottery tickets. Next night, she opened her phone, nearly fainted. She won Toto. So now she had extra cash, 1 million. The very next morning, she rushed to the bank, got a banker's check for the full amount owing to Maybank, including all these legal fees, and sprinted to the auction house. Bidders were registering, and auctioneer was ready to start. But under section 266, now look at 266. Actually, just now the land office, the procedure is 260 to 265. Sorry, 260 to 265. Okay, not 269. 260 to 265. Under 266, right of chargo to tender payment at any time before sale. And if you read that, okay, reading from section 266, any chargo against whom an order for sale has been made under this chapter may at any time before the conclusion of the sale tender the amount. So, you see, okay, put it this way. Put it this way so that you understand. Wait a minute. Draw it up for you. So you see, he has paid, okay, Farah. He paid 100k deposit, okay. Maybank, 900k loaned. So after paying a few months, let's say lah, okay. Let's say he still owe Let's say he still owe Maybank 800k. So now he cannot pay back. But now he won Toto. He won 1 million cash. So Farah rushed to the bank. Okay, MBB. And tell them, hey, now 800k cash. If he give 800k cash to Maybank, then what? Then the charge of Maybank on Farah's land is completed. The Maybank will release the charge. Because why? They registered a charge on Farah's land because Farah borrowed money for 900k. He paid for some time now, left 800k. Suddenly he won Toto. He take that 800k cash. Pam! Now, take it cash. Then, done. I don't even have to pay money loan to Maybank anymore, isn't it? So the bank will release the charge. Of course, there are procedure in there. Release the charge. That's when you do convincing, you know. Okay, release the procedure. Release the charge. Then Farah get the title. So 266 say, they can redeem, okay, the property anytime before conclusion of sale. So Farah marched up to Maybank's solicitor, slapped the banker's check into the table like she was paying for durian and said, full settlement. The solicitor checked the figures, noted and immediately informed the registrar. Just like that, auction was cancelled. Angry bidders packed up their bank drafts and went home disappointed. But the law was crystal clear. As long as the sale has not been concluded, Farah can redeem her property thanks to 266 and her lucky pick. Farah saved her land in the final often questioned here. My question to you is this. 266 says Farah can redeem, or Chago can redeem before conclusion of sale. So what is the meaning of conclusion of sale? When is conclusion of sale? And I want you to read these three cases. Your answer is in there. Okay? Then we discuss next week. What about private treaty? A week before Farah saved her land with the jackpot money, something odd happened. A businessman named Mr. Tiong approached Maybank and said, I heard this property was about to be auctioned. So Mr. Tiong approached Maybank, saw that he got some inside news. He said, Maybank, instead of you go through the auction you need people bid, why not I give you a money now check, I buy it straight away from you. That's what we call private treaty, private selling. Can Maybank do that or not? And I can tell you straight away, Maybank cannot do that because the order for sale is strictly governed under National Land Codes, and 257 say, Maybank, you must sell it off by public auction. So he say here, I buy it now. No need auction, no need drama, I can pay cash today. But Maybank's officer shook his head immediately. No, we can't do that. Under the National Land Codes, once a Form 16H order for sale has been granted, the bank cannot sell the land by private treaty. For registry title, sale must be carried out by public auction through the court registry. Even before the order for sale, as long as Maybank is enforcing its statutory remedy as a chargee, because it's governed under statute, National Land Code, he is a chargee. It has no authority to privately dispose of Farah. Why is it privately disposed? That's what we mean by private treaty. Instead of going through a public auction, let people bid, he, not under table, means privately sell it to someone else. Okay? Because why? Because the security is not the bank's property. It is simply collateral. Collateral means bank lend you money. Bank want the money back. So bank take that property and sell it to recover the money. So bank is the chargee. So can the bank, which is the chargee, sell by private treaty? The answer is no. But Farah himself as the Chago still owns the land, right? Title memang under Farah's name. Can the Chago sell by private treaty? Can. Normally, not only but normally it's just good practice with the chargee's written consent. In practice, if Farah finds a buyer who will pay enough to fully to settle loan. So for example, again, now, draw it out to you again. Okay. Here, right? So now, Maybank do an auction here. So Farah one day go and minum kopi with Dennis. So Farah said, Dennis, I'm having some issue now. Then Dennis say, what happened, Farah? And say, I have this piece of land, the Ipoh ones, I've been having some financial issue. I cannot pay back. So the bank is actually doing an order for sale. Oh, then Dennis said, too bad, Farah. Then Dennis said, hey, Farah, that piece of land is actually very nice. So Dennis said to Farah, actually, I planned to retire and stay in Ipoh. Okay? Now, Farah, what about I buy that piece of land from you? So now, take note now, Maybank is wanted to do the auction already. So now, Dennis enter into a private treaty with Farah. So let's say Dennis offer 900k to buy from Farah. So then what's next? Farah got that 900k, walk into Maybank's office, 800k cash I owe you, right, Maybank? Take it. You take it, charge release. Charge release, then Farah can transfer the title to Dennis. But I gave 900k to Farah. So 100k, masuk Farah's pocket lah, profit money. So you read this private treaty together with redeem the property. Now, I only explain very basic to you because now your homework is to go in deeper, look at the case, and there are some small thing you need to look it from different perspective. So you come back here. So here, if Farah finds a buyer who will pay enough to fully settle like Dennis, banks usually cooperate. They issued a redemption statement, agreed to discharge the charge upon payment. Does it sound familiar here, discharge the charge? Yes, that's what the term we used. Remember CIMB and bank case, Mr. Wong forged the discharge from CIMB, sell it to MBank. Okay. So while Mr. Tiong couldn't buy the land directly from Maybank, Farah could have privately sold the property to him with Maybank's consent, paid off outstanding loan, walk off with any balance. In short, chargee cannot sell by private treaty, chargo can. And if the chargee agrees. Case, you need to know here. Again, 4.7, 4.8, 4.8. Important. Okay, you need to know. Very often question. And what's the issue in there? Issue. When is conclusion? Can the chargee not just yes or no? Why yes, why no? Can the chargo? Why yes, why no? How? When? When? Okay. Now I have a different understanding when it comes to conclusion. Certain textbook write it differently, and I'll explain to you what I mean. I agree with what was written in here. This one. Okay? But I disagree with some textbook, and I'll explain why. Okay, you read first, and based on your analysis from the case itself. Do we have time? Yes, we have some more time. Let's do one more statutory lien since we have done it. So let's start. So we come back to Kumar. Kumar is the guy that registered a liens holder caveat. 281, 32, what is it? 321, 322. 281, and also your liens holder caveat under. We will do this liens holder caveat again when we do restraint on dealing, but we can go faster since we already do it now. Okay? 330 and 331. So when you do this, you look, when later we do liens holder caveat next week, okay, you read it together with statutory lien. It's the same thing. Okay, it's the same. Kumar had just finished the 400,000 renovation of Farah's shop, but Farah didn't have money to pay him. So Kumar said, Farah, I trust you, but I also need some protection. If you can't pay me now, let me hold your original title. Same thing, I repeat the story, and I'll enter a caveat. Farah replied, okay, I agree. You hold the title as security until I settle the 40,000. You can go and enter a caveat. So Farah took the original IDT and passed it to Kumar. Second, both of them clearly agreed Kumar was hold as security, then went to office, lodged a liens holder caveat. Only all three happened, then there is a liens holder caveat. So we talk about this. You understand? Okay, 281, liens holder caveat. But imagine Kumar never filed that caveat. Imagine he just kept the original title in his drawer and felt proud, thinking he was protected. So basically, he got the IDT, there is an intention to deposit IDT, but he didn't register liens holder caveat. In reality, he would be in big trouble. If Farah sold the land to someone else, or if a bank came in and registered a charge, they would win. Because the register showed nothing about Kumar. His land would become just an equitable lien. So this is the case of Mercantile Bank and Hao Han Te, and also I have a list of cases there you need to know. Mercantile, you need to know all this. And also here, Paramu, Zino, Varipuram. This green color, if you've got time, you read. Okay? I also have a question to you. If there is already a liens holder caveat, can you still register a charge or private caveat on it or not? Your answer is in section 2.8. Let's see. Your answer is in section 330. It's in there. And you can put it aside first because when we do liens holder caveat next week, we'll come to that. Okay, much more to the caveat side. Okay, now just understand the principle. So if he didn't register, Equitable, what kind of rights Equitable? Enter a caveat only. He can go and enter a caveat. He can sue Farah under breach of contract, equity, but other than that, same thing like equitable charge. They cannot go for order for sale. Lienholder caveat doesn't go for order for sale. Now you see, let's say Farah owed Kumar 40,000. They register a lienholder caveat. If let's say Farah didn't pay back that 40,000, so what can Kumar do? Even with the caveat protecting him, Kumar still couldn't just grab the land and sell it off. His lawyer told him, if you want to enforce the lien, you must first get a court judgment confirming the debt. Only after he sued Farah and won could he use the lien to take the next step, like applying for sale or any enforcement of action. The lien gave him priority. The caveat froze the land, but the judgment is what gave him power. So Kumar, there's three things he need to do. He must have the IDT, they must have an intention of deposit IDT, then he lodged a lienholder caveat. Then he's protected. If Farah didn't pay back this 40,000, what he can do is, how can he enforce the lienholder caveat? The first step he need to do is, he will need to go and get a judgment first. Now, let's look at 281. Look at your section 281. Section 281 says, Sub 2, where the holder of any lien has obtained judgment for the amount due, he shall be entitled to apply for an order for sale. So what happened is, why do you need a judgment here? How come in those charge, like Maybank for this one, charge, order for sale charge, there is no judgment needed? Because first, this charge can be registered under National Land Code. Second, statutory charge cannot be registered under National Land Code. And third, much more, this is my personal opinion. You see, when Kumar take that IDT from Farah, Kumar want the land or not? Kumar actually doesn't want the land. Kumar want this money. So the land is only used some kind as a collateral, as a security for deposit. So if he cannot pay back, she cannot pay back this money, then I'm not taking the land. I want to sell off the land to take the money. So I need to go get a judgment first. So let's say you go get a judgment already. So what's the next step? Then you fall back to the same procedure, registry title, land office title, section 253 depending, section 253 to 259 or section 260 to 265 depending on land office or registry. So under lienholder, you need one more step. And I didn't say anything extra. This is stated under your 281 sub 2. Get a judgment first. Okay, then you sell it off. Now, just to tell you a little bit more here so that we can talk about more next week. Let's say Farah owed 40,000 to Kumar. Kumar take that land. That land worth 1 million. He's got a judgment, sell it off. Do we pocket that 1 million? He cannot. He will only take 40,000, remaining 960,000 he need to pay back to Farah. He can only take what belongs to him, which is this 40,000. Okay? Now, there are cases there, very important, I want you to know. Like Chumanyan Supia, Kantau Bank, Perwira Afin, or Mom. Now, each of them has some kind of legal principles which I've never mentioned here. Here is only the basic story. For example, you see Mom depositing IDT with Mom is, the issue was, okay, Kumar got the IDT, intention, then after register. What if suddenly Farah come back, say Kumar, you registered the lienholder caveat already. Can you give me back the IDT because I need to go and photostat the IDT. So Kumar gave back the IDT to Farah. So now Kumar don't have IDT in his hand. Does it mean the statutory lien is lost? So the statutory, must Kumar have the IDT on hand only the statutory lien or lienholder caveat is valid? So that is the issue I want you to know. Okay, if you see that. How to create? How can enforce? What is the effect if forgot? Will a landowner lose his right when he parts with the IDT? What are the difference between statutory lien and charge? I want to look at this. You can put one more question there, question 20. I forgot to write it there. Let's say A wanted to borrow, let's say this issue, this issue. Kumar and Farah, this issue. Farah owe Kumar 40,000. Kumar say, Farah, I trust you, but I need some security. So imagine Farah doesn't have any land, but Dennis have a land. So Farah come and speak to Dennis. Dennis, can you help me? Can you take out your IDT of that piece of land and help me and deposit that IDT with Kumar so that Kumar has something security? So now that land doesn't belong to Farah, Farah owe money to Kumar. Farah come and ask Dennis help, ask Dennis to use his IDT deposit Kumar. Can it happen that particular way or not? Or in the kind of statutory lien or lien solder caveat, that IDT must come from Farah. Can or cannot? The answer is can. This kind of three-party situation. And it is from this case of Perwira, Affin, and Selangor Properties. Okay, so you got quite some homework to do this week. All right, so at least I explained to you, this is the story. So now understand the whole story. That particular section we go through. So when you read this one, you will understand for sure. So now I want you to go one step, which is into the case, because there's some issue in the case you need to look at and also link it to this question. So you look at the question, look at the story, look at the case. So you go from the other way around. Can you do that or not for this week? That's your homework. So then next week, I will go through some, I think, maybe I'll spend one class. I'll do one class going through some of the cases there, okay, with you. Then we'll see how. Because I need one class for caveats, one class for Housing Development Act. Maybe the last class for Housing Development Act will go a little bit longer. Maybe we do 3.5 hour class, okay? Because I don't want to extra one class just for a bit only. Okay, we'll see how. Maybe we extend a little bit of the class to 3.5 like that. Okay, then we can finish it. All right. So next week I think it's much better. I think next week I will just spend one class. Okay, go through again, make you familiarize with the concept. Then I touch on other small issue. All right, and also we go through some of the cases like 16D, 16E, all these things. Okay, with you again. So we go slow, and then maybe it's good also next week I do this, and I also read the private statute, private caveat, registrar caveat with you as well. Okay, then we read the statute one time, and then after that we can go faster when we do that particular chapter. All right, everyone feel good? Right, if everything is good, then we stop here. It's 12:30. Now let you go. Tomorrow we do criminal, we read statute. Okay? Right, I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye everyone. Bye.